Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that 2023 has been the absolute worst year for Disney and CEO Bob Iger as they embrace what's next for 2024. And I know I keep saying this, but this year and leading into next is going to be a very tough transition for the Disney Board of Directors, given that 24 is going to be a very barren year, a very empty one at that, for movie releases, streaming content, etc., etc. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, given that Disney is basically facing a lot of individuals or groups that are going against them, you got those like Elon Musk, South Park Studios, and even the Daily Wire stepping up against Disney, and more are about to join to really keep them in the hot seat, to really keep Bob Iger at the center of attention, negatively speaking, of course, to shine the truth on exactly what Disney is all about. Now, we know that Deadpool 3, this is probably the most anticipated film for a lot of fans out there when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and there have been rising creative differences between Ryan Reynolds and the writing team, such as Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, going up against Disney. Now, there's a lot of things to discuss today, so let's get into all of this and exactly what involves Ryan Reynolds here in this ongoing tension between the creatives behind this film and the Disney higher-ups, and what it means for Ryan Reynolds' future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's not looking too bright right now. So, with Ryan Reynolds still endlessly falling into creative differences with the Disney higher-ups over Deadpool 3, one major development involves updates to the ongoing struggles of this production. As it turns out, after many arguments that happened between Disney higher-ups and Ryan Reynolds, one major move that Iger and the board made was by firing and removing Ryan Reynolds from various projects that he was supposed to take part in as a co-writer for the Marvel Universe by Marvel Studios. This involves projects for both Marvel Phase 6 and Phase 7 for mutant-era content that was going to involve Deadpool in various ways. And though Ryan still remains active with Deadpool 3, the plan by Disney right now is that this will be his last project for the MCU and for Disney, as they removed Reynolds from a total of 4 projects that were going to be major films that would actually deal with the mutants in some way, shape, or form. This all comes in the wake of the writers of Deadpool 3 facing creative differences with Disney, and how this ultimately led to Ryan getting plucked from future MCU films. Though it wasn't just limited to the creative differences and arguments that were rising between Reynolds and Disney, it was also connected to Iger's cost containment plan entering into its second phase. That was the root of it all, as they wanted to spend less on co-writers and main writers for their MCU timeline and for the years to come. Reportedly, Ryan Reynolds was slated to be part of the X-Men movie under Disney as one of the co-writers, and was also set to direct scenes that were planned to include Deadpool, aka Wade Wilson, across various projects. However, not just limited to the X-Men film, but new projects planned and mapped out by Kevin Feige for the mutant era of the MCU. Now, where it stands right now is that Ryan was indeed fired from several projects, alike by, of course, Disney, for the mutant era of the MCU. However, Deadpool 3 remains. With Ryan's co-writing deal now completely thrown out the window, writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick of Deadpool 3 are siding with Ryan Reynolds even further in their desperate move to reason with Disney's higher-ups to prevent specific scenes to become deleted from the third act of the film, and to keep the budgeting plan intact, as Bob Iger is already forcing a tighter budgeting limitation, with less funds going into both the production and the marketing of the film to reduce spending. Now guys, before I get to the big conclusion about this that I think is the most revealing aspect, one thing I will say about Ryan Reynolds is that I think he somewhat had to have known what he was getting into here. He had to have known what happened to Star Wars, what happened to some films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe before this Deadpool deal was made, before Disney acquired Fox, right? So there's a lot of things going into this film. We know that Ryan has been happy with the first and second acts of this movie, but the third act is really wreaking havoc on the writing team of Deadpool 3, as Disney really wants to throw in more diversity, equity, and inclusion into that segment of the film. They also want to take out specific cameos related to the SSU, aka the Sony Spider-Man universe, among other cameos that were supposed to actually surprise a lot of fans, and cameos that were chosen by Ryan Reynolds to actually be thrown into the story. So again, we know that this movie deals with the MCU, specifically with the multiverse era, and that's why you're getting so many cameos left and right. We also know it was Disney's idea and plan to force a connection to the upcoming Fantastic Four 2025 film. Basically, another reason why the writers behind Deadpool 3 are having arguments with Disney is that this is more or less becoming an advertisement in the form of a movie for upcoming Disney films within the MCU. That's exactly why this movie is going to promote Blade, it's going to promote Fantastic Four, it's going to promote Captain America 4 in various different ways, mind you. That's why we're getting endless cameos in this film, and Disney is already looking to delete some of the glorified cameos that would be wildly accepted by the fandom, right? And I think at the end of the day, too, this is another shining example that Disney has no clue what they are doing. They don't know what they're doing. I think that Ryan Reynolds, whether you have, your different views about him or not, I think that he's a passionate creator. He's a passionate individual that has a specific vision that he aims for, and it's being blocked by Disney to a degree. And that's why you're having these rising creative issues. So, moving onwards, Disney is already drastically backing off from using Deadpool as a character for future MCU projects that deal with the mutants strictly after the Ryan deal went sour. For now, Ryan is only hired through Disney to complete Deadpool 3, and even this is becoming an ongoing struggle across the board. Reynolds is already fighting to get his projects reinstated after he got fired and removed from them as a co-writer, and this is only creating more tension for the MCU and more unneeded drama. And unneeded drama is right. They don't need this. They can't afford this. This is exactly why I keep saying those like Bob Iger, those like Kevin Feige and Kathleen Kennedy, all of these types of producers, CEOs, whatever have you, they don't know what they are doing with fans. They don't know what they are doing with content nowadays. It's really all about just doing what they want to do and not listening to fan reception or fan engagement levels or anything like that. So this is going to be an interesting couple of months as we go into the beginning of 2024. As it stands right now, Deadpool 3 is still slated for that July 2024 release date window. Alright, again, as we talked about this before, the plan to expedite the production of this film is a real thing. Disney wants to get this out by next year, because if they don't have Deadpool 3 next year, they're really not going to make a profit as far as theatrical films go, so to speak. And they are totally banking on this film. They are placing all bets on Deadpool 3. And I'm not even quite sure if those bets are going to work out if they're throwing DEI into this. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. And I will catch you guys later.